Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Community Corner podcast. I'm Arnav.
And I'm Nikhil, and today we're talking about something that's very relatable for all y'all high schoolers out there, the impact of social media on finance.
Yep, and you know social media is everywhere. But have you ever wondered how it can affect your spending habits?
So that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today as, we explore how scrolling through Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and other social media sites can influence what you buy and how you actually manage your money.
Okay, let's start with the basics. How does social media actually affect how high schoolers spend their money?
Yeah, for sure. So when you're actually scrolling through your feed, you see people sharing all these cool things, these grandiose things, the latest gadgets, the newest fashion trends, these amazing experiences to trips like the Bahamas, etc. And so a lot of these posts can sometimes make you feel like you're missing out on something exciting, right?
Like FOMO?
Yeah, exactly. Fear of missing out.
Like FOMO can lead you to make impulsive purchases, trying to keep up with what you see on social media. Like, for example, if I see on my feed, like the algorithm, for example, sees that a lot of people are buying this one thing, like product X. Like, for example, like this new minimalist watch, and I'm like, oh my god, everyone's wearing it, and people who don't wear it aren't cool. And if I have that connection in my mind, then most people, the average person, will have like a longing to have that product. And people who make impulsive purchases naturally are gonna go buy that. And it just like stimulates that connection in their brain.
Yeah, and it's literally like such a subconscious feeling. Like there are literally things we can all name off the top of our head. Most of us, like we, tend to think of, if we see a Lamborghini, we tend to associate that with being rich. We see things like, if someone's a butler, we know that that's associated with, high economic status, etc. And so there are a lot of associations that we see because we've seen them on social media that make us think that, okay, these things are very like grandiose things. These are things that only rich people can get.
Exactly. Like social media has that thing where you think that everyone else has a perfect life, and it's not good to compare to people on social media because people only post the best versions of themselves on social media, or like when they're the most happy, having the most fun, but the bad things aren't there. And when you compare them to yourself, including all the bad stuff that's going on with your life or like everything, it's not going to be good. Like, for example, if like outfits, for example, people like post their best outfits and you try to compare that to other people, it's just not good.
For sure. I mean, like, that's definitely a big problem, especially with Americans and a lot of Western culture. That tends to be happening a lot because people think like, oh, like I have a lot of money. Like, yeah, you might, but if you're spending money on an $80,000 car, like your wallet's still going to be drained. And whether it's a Gucci bag that costs like thousands of dollars, etc., whatever it is, you have to be very wary about your spending habits. And so I think it's really important for high schoolers as well to start navigating their responsibilities on both social media and they're managing their personal finances so they don't break the bank, but still can enjoy their life to some extent, right?
Yeah, actually, one thing that social media does is it creates fake value, and perception is reality, right? So for example, let's say we take a Gucci bag. It's basically no different, maybe a little bit better than the average bag, but what makes it so much more expensive and so much more valuable is the brand worth. Like having that Gucci symbol on the thing just makes it so much. So like even though let's say you have a Gucci belt, it's not as important. Having that brand value inflates it and makes yourself look more important. And the thing is, if everyone believes it's so important, then what happens? It becomes important. So social media, because of that, drives up worthless objects or things that aren't supposed to have that much value into something that actually has a lot of value. And so when people start looking at it from like a third person point of view, like from a very objective point of view, they'll realize like, oh wait, I'm missing out, or like this is something that I need to have, even though in reality it's worthless.
Exactly. I mean, it's all about associations, right? Like we associate, Gucci belts with high status, etc. Like that is a subconscious thing that we pretty much all of us think about. And so with that said, I think there's a lot of tips that people can use, especially younger audiences, to basically manage their finances better in a world of social media. So the first thing to do is you want to have a very clear budget about what outlines, about things that you earn, what you spend and what you want to save. You want to stick to it so you can avoid overspending. Another great tip I feel like is something that I've used as well is like, if you see something enticing on social media, you want to pause for a moment, because you take that pause to make sure that you don't make any impulsive decisions. Ask yourself if buying that is genuinely based on your need, or if it's just a whim temporarily fueled by what you saw online. Take a moment, think about that. Maybe even take an hour, maybe take a day to really just let that sit in your mind and actually think about it. And another thing is, like, maybe you should start unfollowing accounts that trigger envy. Like, maybe if you're following like the Gucci account or like the Lamborghini Instagram, like that can definitely entice you to buy these products that maybe you can't afford. Maybe, and that's totally fine. Like, if you can't afford it, that's totally fine. But don't let those people lead you on to buy their products, and then all of a sudden, you're in a huge financial burden and you're thousands of dollars in debt that you can't pay for on your credit card.
I think social media is fine, like, for a certain extent, but what people should know while they're on social media, for example, like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they should know that there are unrealistic expectations that people live up to on social media, and like we only see the best version of themselves, right? And I think it's really important that people keep in mind while like, scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, whatever, like, because that perception isn't always reality, not always what's happening. So people will go to great lengths to try to achieve that, even though that's not what should be the main like version. Like people, like, for example, like another tip that people can abide to is like exploring diverse interests, right? You can try to find hobbies and interests offline that don't involve comparing yourself to others on social media, like things that like with more activity with in-person friends, like things that just make you more lively. Like, you can also, a very important tip is get financial education, right? Like high schoolers or like even YouTube, they like high schools often offer resources on financial literacy. There's so many YouTube videos on it. You can take advantage of them to learn more about how to manage your money wisely. Like, even listening to this podcast, which is a primarily finance podcast, can help you like know how to budget your money, save, just help you overall. So getting that financial education is important and super, like, it's essential, and knowing where to put your money at.
Yeah, I think like our audience is probably wondering, like, how can we specifically use that? And so basically, right, like, let's say you come across an ad for, a brand new smartphone on social media. And so what most people will do is they'll probably just instantly click on it, click the see more options or whatever, read some information, and they're like, okay, maybe I want to get this, maybe I'll buy it. But what you want to do is really just take a step back there. Think about your budget. Think about whether you really want the phone, or are you just getting like a small dopamine rush there and you're just like, oh, I really need to get this, but you really don't. And then make a more informed decision based on the financial literacy, the financial education that you've gained. Like, is this something that you really want to do? And talk to your folks. If you have someone that's really into finance, someone that you really know can budget stuff really well, talk to them.
Yeah, I think what makes it bad, like what social media does, is it makes it so easy to the fact where it's actually a bad thing. Like, it literally takes like max 3 clicks to go buy something just off of like something you see off your feed. And I think that's a very good thing because accessibility and technology, but it's bad because of how easy it is, and there's not much stimuli to stop you from, your guilty pleasures.
For sure. So there you guys have it, folks. Social media is all around us, and it can have a big impact on our finances. But we really believe that with a little awareness and some smart habits, you can make sure that it's not your wallet that's feeling the pressure. So we appreciate you guys tuning into the Community Corner podcast today. We hope this discussion was very insightful for y'all, and stay with us for more episodes where we talk about the stuff that matters to our community. Until next time, peace.